What if everything we think we know about Benedict and Sophie's story in Season 5 is completely wrong? I'm not talking about minor details. I'm talking about a theory that, if true, would flip the entire romantic arc on its head and make Season 5 the most emotionally devastating season Bridgerton has ever produced. Stay with me until the end, because the last part of this theory is the part the showrunners are clearly not ready for fans to find out yet. So let's set the scene. Season 4 ended with Benedict Bridgerton and Sophie Beckett finally in each other's orbit. A slow-burn tension that Luke Thompson and Yerin Ha have been absolutely electric at building. And if you've read Julia Quinn's An Offer from a Gentleman, you know the broad strokes. Sophie is a Cinderella figure. Benedict is the prince who can't stop thinking about the mysterious woman from the masquerade, and their love story is one of the most emotionally complex in the entire book series. But here's the thing about Bridgerton the show. They don't follow the books. They use them as a starting point, and then they blow the whole thing up. And that is exactly where this theory starts. The masquerade isn't what we think it is. In the books, the masquerade ball is the inciting incident. It's the night Benedict falls for Sophie and spends the entire novel trying to find her again. Classic Cinderella energy. But in the show's version of events, the masquerade has already happened off-screen, in a way that's deliberately vague. Which means the show is holding something back. Here's the theory making serious rounds in the Bridgerton fan community right now. The show is going to restructure the masquerade as a mid-season revelation, rather than a backstory flashback. Meaning, we see Benedict and Sophie fall into a real, present-day connection first. And then, the masquerade identity is revealed later, and it recontextualizes everything he thought he knew. Why does this matter? Because it means Benedict could be faced with an impossible question. Did he fall in love with Sophie the woman, or Sophie the illusion? That's not just a Cinderella story. That's a psychological unraveling of what romantic love actually means. And it is exactly the kind of layered storytelling the Bridgerton showrunners have been building toward. What Luke Thompson has actually said. Luke Thompson has been carefully, almost frustratingly careful in interviews about what's coming in Season 5. But there's one quote that keeps resurfacing in fan discussions, and it's worth paying close attention to. In recent press, Thompson described Season 5 Benedict as someone who is forced to confront who he is outside of what his family needs him to be. That's a character in crisis. That's not a man gliding toward a happy ending. That's a man about to have everything he thought he wanted pulled out from under him. And Yerin Ha, for her part, has consistently framed Sophie as someone with agency in this season. Not a passive Cinderella waiting to be found, an active participant in her own story who makes choices that could hurt Benedict just as much as help him. Put those two character descriptions together, and you don't get a fairy tale. You get a collision. The class tension is the real story. Here's what I think a lot of fans are underestimating about Season 5. The class element of Sophie's story isn't just a romantic obstacle, it's the thematic spine of the entire season. Sophie Beckett is illegitimate. She is treated as less than by the society Benedict moves through effortlessly. And the theory goes further here. The show is going to force Benedict to choose. Publicly, visibly, with consequences. To stand with Sophie in a way that costs him something real. Not just, I love you despite what society thinks, but a scene, possibly a public confrontation with his family, possibly a moment with Lady Danbury or Queen Charlotte, where Benedict has to put his entire social standing on the line. And here's the twist fans are speculating about. What if Sophie refuses him? What if, having lived her whole life as someone society diminishes, she doesn't want to be saved, even by someone she loves? What if she rejects his grand gesture, not because she doesn't love him, but because she refuses to be his act of rebellion? That would make the final reconciliation, when it comes, one of the most earned romantic resolutions in the whole series. Because it wouldn't just be love. It would be respect. Actual, structural, she is my equal respect. Yerin Ha's Sophie changes the formula. This is where Yerin Ha's casting becomes more than just inspired. It becomes intentional. Bridgerton has always used its casting to make a point. A black Regency family as one of the most powerful in England. A Bridgerton daughter as a Lady Whistledown. Every casting choice in this show signals something about the story being told. Yerin Ha brings a warmth and a fierceness to Sophie that is distinctly different from the quiet, suffering heroine of the book. This Sophie is not going to wait. She's not going to be rescued. She's going to make Benedict work for it. And the theory suggests she's the one who ultimately holds all the power in their dynamic, not him. Think about that for a second. In the traditional Cinderella story, the prince has all the agency. He searches, he finds, he rescues. But if this theory is right, if Sophie is the one with agency, Sophie is the one making the final choice, Sophie is the one deciding whether or not this love story gets its ending, then Bridgerton just turned the entire fairy tale structure inside out. The detail nobody's talking about. There is one small production detail that surfaced from behind-the-scenes coverage that almost no one has connected to this theory yet. In promotional materials and set photos, Sophie's costuming has been deliberately positioned between two worlds. Never fully aristocratic, never fully servant class. That visual ambiguity is intentional costume design. It means the show wants viewers to feel, visually, that Sophie doesn't belong to either world. And that visual tension, that's what the entire season is building toward resolving. Not just, they fall in love, but she finally belongs somewhere, on her own terms. If the Bridgerton writers execute this the way the theory predicts, and given what we know about Jess Brownell's approach to the show, there's real reason to believe they will. Season 5 won't just be a romance, it will be the most emotionally complete story Bridgerton has ever told. And the moment Benedict Bridgerton looks at Sophie Beckett and finally sees her, not the masquerade, not the idea of her, but her, is going to absolutely destroy us. Tell me in the comments, do you think Sophie will reject Benedict's first proposal? Yes or no? Let's see where the Lukerin fandom stands. And if you want to be here when Season 5 drops, and we break down every single episode, make sure you're subscribed, because this channel is going to be your home for all things Lukerin, all season long. If you're as obsessed with Benedict and Sophie as I am, hit subscribe right now, because I break down every Lukerin development the moment it happens.